Yeah, Krupa, you raised the hand. What is the question?
Yeah, sir, I cleared about T4, T48, W2, and 1099, but I have confusion for the corp to corp and incorporated.
Okay, so this is the comparison I have made just so that people can understand. Some people might have worked in India, some people have might worked in Canada, some might be from US, or sometimes you might get some emails from the US recruiters. So just wanted to clarify on some of the terminology that we use. In India, we call it as a full-time job, which means in India it is always 40 hours a week or sometimes 45 hours a week. Okay, there is no concept of a part-time job in India. If it is a job, means it is always full-time by default. In Canada, it is called as a full-time and permanent job. It can be either a full-time temporary or it can be a full-time permanent. Full-time means here either 35 hours or 37.5 hours or 40 hours. Okay, that is full-time. Then full-time will have two structures, full-time temporary and full-time permanent. Full-time temporary means your structure is going to be, your job is going to be full-time, but either only for 6 months or for 1 year or for 2 years. But full-time permanent means it is full-time and it is also permanent till the time you retire. Okay, so these are some of the full-time job structure in Canada. In US also it is the same, full-time temporary or full-time permanent. Okay. So in India, when it comes to payroll, what happens is when you get a job, the company directly pays you the job, pays you the salary, right? There is no intermediate person who will pay you the salary in India generally. But of late, I have been seeing the trend there. There will be a payroll company in between, and the payroll company will pay the employee, and the employee will work for the client. Okay, but the structure generally is payroll company and client place and full time. So full time means the company directly pays you. If it is a contract job, means there will be a payroll company in between, and payroll company will pay the client. Company will pay the candidate, and that company will invoice the client. Okay, in Canada, it is called as a contract job. Contract job means you will be working for that client only for specific period. In US also, contract job means you will be working for the client for a very specific period. Okay, so this is a contract structure. If it is a full-time structure, then the client will pay you individual to end client. The relationship is between the candidate and the end client. So that is full-time job. If it is a full-time job in Canada, it is between individual and the company. Full-time job in US, it is individual and company. So full-time job is same everywhere. So in Canada, the contract job is called as a C2C or corp to corp or incorporated. Anything which, if they say C2C or if they say corp to corp or if they say incorporated, it always means the same. It means that it is a contract job for a particular period of time. Okay, in US also same terminology. In Canada, the full-time job is called as a T4, which is similar to Form 16 in India. And in US, the full-time job is called as a W2. So if they say T4 job, then it means full-time job. If they say C2C, then it means contract job. If they say corp to corp, it means contract job. If they say incorporated, it means it's a contract job. Okay. But the contract has another structure called as a T4A, which is similar to Form 16A in India. And T4A is similar to 1099 in US. This is also contract job, but it is between not corp to corp, between not company to company, but it is between company to individual, but on a contract basis, independent contractor basis. So let's see what happens inside. So after you know, do your marketing, and after you clear the interviews, and after you get the job, these are the two possibilities. You will either get a full-time job, or you will either get a contract job. These are the only two possibilities that you will get the job. Okay. If you get a full-time job, let's say take the case of you got a job in CIBC. Okay. If you got a full-time job in CIBC, then what? The end client is CIBC. CIBC will run payroll to you, and you will get paid as a payroll every 15 days. And CIBC will issue you T4 at the end of the year. Okay, so this is full-time. So I'm on a full-time roles with CIBC. CIBC will pay me salary, and at the end of the year, which means at the end of February every year, they will issue a T4. T4 is nothing but a tax statement confirming how much of the tax was deducted from the candidate by the company. Okay, let's say you got a contract job, same end client, CIBC, but the contract is not directly with CIBC, but the contract is with, let's say, some agency like Tech Systems or SI Systems or Procom or Randstad. So if I got a contract job, let's say the agency is Tech Systems. So what happens? Tech Systems will pay me, okay, and Tech Systems will invoice the end client, but the candidate will work for the end client directly. Okay, so the candidate will go to CIBC office and he will work in CIBC office, but he will get paid by Tech Systems. But Tech Systems will get money from the end client directly. So the candidate the Tech Systems is accountable to pay the candidate and not the CIBC. Now, what happens when it comes to NCPL? Because you are in a contract with NCPL. So what happens is, if you get a CIBC contract via Tech Systems, since you have agreement with NCPL, so what happens is NCPL and Tech Systems will go on an agreement. So they will give an agreement. They will ask you to send the corporation documents. So I'll be giving the corporation documents. You will be sending it to Tech Systems. Tech Systems will create an agreement and send it to us. Thus, the agreement is between Tech Systems and NCPL. So Tech System says, okay, so and so, who is that? Who is the one? Krupa. Let's say Krupa got the job, contract job. So and so saying that this is to confirm that Tech Systems and NCPL has come into an agreement to to have the independent contractor Krupa Patel work with CIBC client for the rate of let's say $50 an hour, and the contract starts on some 12th of December till 11th of December next year. So that is the contract. Then what happens? Then NCPL will pay you as a payroll. So NCPL will invoice Tech Systems. Tech Systems will invoice end client. End client will pay Tech Systems, and Tech Systems will pay NCPL. And after NCPL receives it, I'll be paying you back as a payroll, and the NCPL will issue T4. See, in your case, from the candidate perspective, you will always be on a full-time job, whether it is through a direct client or whether it is through a contract. You will always be getting a full-time job because you will be given T4. But in a full-time job, you will get T4 directly from the end client. In a contract job, you will get T4 from NCPL. That is the only difference. So for you guys, since you are in, most of the people are in, postgraduate work permit. So this will be considered as a full-time only, even though you get a contract job and you will be get paid by NCPL. So it will be useful for you in your CEC PR application. Understood?
Okay, sir. Thank you.
It looks simple. You might say you understood it, but still you
Yeah.
might not understand it also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only when you are in the actual playground, you will come to know the nuances of intricacies. But from your side, whatever you have to understand now is whether you get a full-time job or a contract job, you will always be paid. If it is a full-time job, you will be paid by the end client. If it is a contract job, you will be paid by NCPL.
NCPL.
And it is always going to be a full-time job for you.
Yeah.
So don't worry about the immigration related issues.
Yeah.
Clear? And this is
I do not worry about immigrations because I have PR, but I'm just want to
no.
clear
I'm
that.
telling for everybody, not just
Okay.
for you, but
Okay,
for
sir.
everybody. It is always going to be a full-time job for you.
Okay.
Okay, Anant, you raised the hand.
Sir, what about if in between laid off or the cost cutting happens? How does that affect the contract?
If you are laid off, then the contract stops. So then the marketing starts again, and you will be attending interviews for another full-time job or a contract job.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Then in that case again, you get a full-time job, then the payroll will continue to run from the end client. But if you again got a contract job, then the payroll with NCPL continues.
Okay,
So how many are PRs here? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, so many PRs. Okay, so half of them are postgraduate work permit holders or open work permit holders. So you guys will be trying for PR. So in this case, your T4 will be helpful for you. Okay, any questions on this T4, T4A?
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, Ramgar, have one question.
Yeah, Rahman started first. Rahman, go ahead.
Sir, we are in contract with NCPL for 1 year. So if we got a job and we worked for 6 months with the company, and if we got like we got laid off or something, and we got other job, so like whatever the 6 months we did, it count in 1 year contract of NCPL, right? So
Yes.
remaining 6 months we have to do. That's
Yeah.
it, right?
Correct. So making sure you are in the job for 365 days is NCPL's responsibility. So if you have worked for 6 months and you got laid off due to any reason, then NCPL is responsible to make sure you are in the job for the next 6 months. So let's say you take one more month to get another job, then the next 6 months timer will start from the first day of your second job.
but it's better to have a contract job, right? Instead of full time, because
Contract jobs are paid very well.
yeah.
I generally advise people have this myth that if I get a full-time job, then I won't be terminated at all. If I get a contract job, then I have to keep searching every time. But trust me, whether it is a full-time job or a contract job, if they decide to lay you off, they can lay off whether it is a full-time also. Okay, the only difference is if they lay you off on a full-time job, then you will get insurance, but in a contract job, you won't get insurance. That is the only difference. But how are you making up the difference? Since contract jobs are paid more, generally contract jobs are paid 40 to 50% more than the full-time jobs. That's how. So whatever excess you are making, that will take care of these kinds of benefits. That's how you have to think about. I have seen people, sir, I got contract job, but I was waiting for full time. And I keep telling them, don't worry, your contract job is good. The only minus point is if it is a short term contract, you will end up searching for job multiple times. That's the only job search is going to be a continuous activity. But it has again a plus and minus also. Plus, because when you do multiple contracts, meaning one contract, another contract, then the opportunity for learning will be more. For example, this client, you will work on some XYZ tools. If it is then 6 months contract over, then you go to second client. Then they're working on a same role but different set of tools. So overall, in the span of 1 year, what happens? You'll ending up learning more tools than a typical full-time job person learns. That is the benefit. So everything has its own pros and cons.
Sir, but shifting from one contract to the other contracts takes ample time, right, sir? Depends on the
Whatever
market.
time you are losing, you are making that money by additional pay in the full-time job. No?
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry, in
Exactly.
contract job. My only point is, don't think that it is full-time is always good. That is the message I'm trying to pass here. Full-time has its own minuses, contract has its own minuses. But if you ask me personally what is more beneficial, I always give my vote to contract. Where you will have a lot of scope to earn money, lot of scope to earn more knowledge, lot of scope to show multiple companies in your resume. So many. That's why if you see have you seen anybody my LinkedIn profile?
I did.
You'll see some 30-40 companies. Because I worked with those many I worked for nearly 50 companies for DevOps projects, of course, for NCPL work. But that is the reason why I'm able to talk very solid, whether it's a data engineering or whether it is a DevOps or cloud or Salesforce or full stack or front end. Why I'm able to talk solidly about any technology better than you guys, even though I'm not professional in your own respective fields, because I have larger exposure since I work with 50 clients. That is the beauty of doing contract. Yeah, Gautam.
Yeah, Ramgaru, I was asking, like, okay, 1 year we are on the payroll of NCPL, but at the same time, we have an agreement of 1 year. So after 1 year, then how is the contract going to be with the client?
Let's say imagine a scenario where the contract is for 2 years with the client, but with NCPL, it is only for 1 year. What happens after that? Is that what your question is?
Yeah, vice versa. Correct.
Yeah. So NCPL charges you 20% for the first 1 year. After the 1 year is over, then case one, you can either ask the end client to change the corporation from NCPL to your corporation because you are a PR. Case two, if you are not able to create your own corporation because you are on a work permit, then in that case, you can continue to have NCPL collecting the money, but instead of charging 20%, a nominal payroll administration charges will be levied.
Okay. So as a PR holder, everybody needs to be incorporated?
Not needs to be, but
I mean, whoever is working.
yeah, they can. PRs can and work permit holders cannot. So
Okay.
whenever you have the opportunity, you can create. But for work permit holders, they will not have opportunity to create. They have to always have a PR in their board of directors to create a corporation. So for them, it is impossible. But for PRs, it is possible.
Understand. So this is what was the other day also I was asking Nirisha about. It's good that Krupa has bought this today. I also had the similar queries.
Yeah, this is one of the most confusion. Even after explaining to this million times, people kiss, sir, who will pay me? NCPL or right? So I keep explaining the same concept to them again and again. Manmeet?
Thank you. Yeah.
Yes, sir. So, like, is there any difference between the tax structures of contract or full time? Like, is tax brackets are different or anything, or it's just the same?
In a generic sense, there is a difference, but from from the candidate perspective, it has no difference because, as I told you, whether you get a full-time job or a contract job, you will always be paid as a full-time salary.
Yeah.
In a full-time job, you will be paid by the end client where they will deduct tax from you and they will pay you. In a contract job also same. I will be receiving the money from the end client and I will be paying you as a salary. So deducting the taxes. So same thing for you. For you, it has no difference.
Okay.
But in a generic sense, there are lots of differences, but that might not be the scope of this discussion.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to Sunny.
Yeah, just a quick question regarding the contract. Like, as a PR, we have the option to incorporate, right? As you said. But then, let's say I get a contract job. Is it compulsory to create a corporation, or I can get paid directly?
As a PR or as a work permit holder, you're saying?
As a PR. I mean, I
Hmm?
have the option to incorporate, but is it compulsory to incorporate to get paid, or I can get paid directly on contract without incorporating?
When you're associated with NCPL, it is not needed.
Okay, but then after one
After
year,
that, then it is mandatory.
okay, thank you.
Okay, go to the next type of question. Krupa's question is done. Gayatri?
Sir, I am incorporated already. So if the recruiter asks me, are you incorporated? Then what should I say?
Tell them you are incorporated.
But I have to go with NCPL incorporation, right, sir?
NCPL is also incorporated, right? See, they will ask you whether you are incorporated or not.
Okay.
So you are
I should not
personally
really,
incorporated and NCPL is also personally incorporated. So incorporation is there. So once you get an offer, they will ask you to send the incorporation documents. In such case, we will send NCPL incorporation documents.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Not yours.